I've never been to South America. I figured Ecuador might be a cool experience. My host, it was Laura and her husband, Vicente, and they had 2 older kids. They picked me up from the airport and brought me to their house. It was about a 3-story apartment with very secure. It was actually in a nice part of the city, if you could say there was a nice part of the city. And they didn't speak very much English, and so that was a little bit of a struggle for me, being as that I thought I knew Spanish, and then I got there and there was a lot of deer in the headlights moments. He was a journalist, and she ran a lot of social programs. So she was very ingrained with the children and children's programs, which is probably what led her to be a part of this volunteer program. So when she has a volunteer come into their house, she then provides them with the job that they're going to work or the volunteer program, and she is very well known throughout the area as someone who, helps kids, helps people that are less fortunate than her, and they're not wealthy by any means. However, they are able to help out, whether it's financially or just being able to help out with the programs, and that's sort of what I gathered is their life calling. Wake up in the morning. They have a huge table for the volunteers in them, and they cook breakfast for you every day. So you have breakfast, and then as soon as breakfast is over, you go off to your, they call them proyectos. My first proyecto was what you would sort of call like a daycare. There's a lot of immigrants coming through, migration coming through, and a lot of Venezuelans coming through Ecuador to get to other places, better opportunities. Well, when they stop in Ecuador, a lot of the kids weren't enrolled in school, didn't have anywhere to go. Parents are trying to find jobs, and so this first project was so kids could come hang out all day and stay off the streets. It was more teaching English, showing them how to do math, and just almost like a YMCA type vibe, Boys and Girls Club vibe, where they were safe, they're provided 3 meals, and they didn't have much. So that was Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday they sent me to the next project. It was a big market. So the market was it looked like a huge swap meet, and it was basically a wholesale for food, any type of items that people would come by. However, it's not the safest place. So you go, you shop, you get your stuff and leave. So a lot of parents worked in that market. Well, they didn't want the kids hanging out with the parents all day. So they created a safe program. So if you have school in the afternoon, you go to this program in the morning. If you vice versa. And so this building, it was, you go up stairways, get into this building. It was guarded with security. The kids would come up, you'd have to sign in. You couldn't just take the kid out unless you were a parent. You had to show ID. Even myself, I had to show a passport every day, even though I knew I was coming back. And you would go in and they would learn. If they had homework from school, we'd help them with their homework, or we'd teach them something. So in fact, I thought I was just there to help, and as soon as I get there, they look at me and they go, "What are you teaching?" So I'm like, I don't really have anything, but so I came up with my own stuff. So first couple days, I was thinking I'm a defensive tactics instructor, so I talked to them. I'm like, I could show this, and they're like, "Oh, great idea. Can you show kids what to do if they're getting kidnapped, or if they're getting and that was the first thing they said. I'm like, wow, this must really be an issue here, or if someone's going to take them and that type of thing. So I showed some defensive tactics, how to get away, how to run, that type of things, jiu-jitsu based type things, and the kids ate it up. They loved it. And so the first 2 or 3 days we did that. In fact, they were asking to do more. Can we show us more? Show us more. And so I tried to show them as much as I can without overloading them with these tactics. And then one day I bought them a basketball, and then we went and played basketball. I showed them, different things with the basketball. And then the last couple of days I found some big flashcards with animals on it, and I would have them say it in Spanish, and then I'd say it in English, and then we'd play a game. Whoever got it right got to keep the card. And so it was fun. I gave them little prizes and that type of thing. So it was fun. I helped them with some of their classes, but I ended up having to teach like an hour and a half a day, which wasn't easy to come up with on the spot. But it was really fun, and I could tell they appreciated it. Traffic was crazy there. It was, being a traffic officer, I'm watching motorcycles go up on sidewalks and through, and just to get through because it was so crowded. I was just like covering my eyes, like, what's going on? And I think I took a picture of one where you have one gentleman on a scooter, his wife's holding the phone to his ear, and then they have a baby in front with no helmets. You know, he's the only one with the helmet. Wife and kid doesn't have a helmet. And at one point I see two people on a motorcycle, and I look, and they have a baby in between them, like baby, not like a toddler. And so it was just really weird to see, hey, this is how we get around. When we get into a taxi here, we tell them where we want to go, and they know exactly where to take us. You get into a taxi there, and they look at you like you're from Mars. They're like, we don't know how to get there. So I would have to find the place that I was trying to get to and give them directions in the taxi, thinking that they would know. So I stopped taking taxis and started getting into Ubers because at least the Uber had the GPS and it would get you to where you needed to go. The bus system, which I took every day, was very, it was good because you could get anywhere you wanted, and it was 35 cents to get on a bus. However, if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss your bus. There was 3 other volunteers at the house, and they said, hey, on the weekend, because on the weekend we had our own time, we could do what we wanted, and we're going to go to the Amazon and check it out. And I'm like, this is probably something I'll never have a chance to do. The Amazon was cool. It was very hot, very humid. When it would rain, it was so refreshing. I would just stand in the rain going, oh, thank you, you know. Everything was like 2 hours. It was a 2-hour bus ride to get to the Amazon. You get on the boat, 2-hour ride to get to where we stayed, which was really cool. It was like an eco lodge, no electricity, nothing. You stayed, and the water you used for showers pumped from the Amazon. It was really cool, and very rural, you know, just a cool experience. Saw lots of animals. We got to swim in the Amazon at night, like under the sunset, which was cool. And that was a little sketchy too. I was like, I'm getting in this water, I don't know what's in here, but it was so hot you didn't care, you just jumped in. One day we went on a boat to a village to help them harvest yucca, which was another 2-hour boat ride. And we get there, we hike about 3 miles, and then we show up, there's like a little village, and everything was on stilts because nothing could be on the ground. And we helped them pull the yucca. We, shaved it and turned it into like a powder. And then that's where they pulled the water. They're able to make soup out of it and that type of thing. And then they took the actual shredded yucca and made bread and different things. So they cooked dinner for us that night with that stuff. And it was a pretty cool experience just doing that. And then we met with their shaman, which was interesting. And he told us through a translator what he has to go through, and the ayahuasca and all the stuff. They let us like smell the ayahuasca, and they drew on our foreheads with this like ink from a fruit, and that's what they used for, I don't want to say war paint, but just to put the designs on them. And that was very interesting. We met a guy in the Amazon. He had traveled from Venezuela, Peru, and he had come from Germany and all these other places, and was just traveling through, going each place by place. And I'm like, that's not something we do here. We don't get out of college for 3 months and go, hey, I'm going to go travel. It's not very common anyway. I'm sure there's people that do it, but it's not a very common thing. So I thought that was very interesting. And they took the time to learn languages. Like, there's one girl that was volunteering with us. She knew Polish, Spanish, Italian, English, and she was like 5 or 6 languages deep, and was only 23, 24. I think it's going to broaden my view of what is a travel option, right? Like right now I'm like, hey, let's go to Cabo. Let's go stay in a pool and let's go do this. And I think now I'm interested in going to Germany, Poland, and seeing how they do things there, and just seeing that while we're America in the United States, not necessarily everything we do is the best way.